Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. My ass is coming down from the high of 5-star drip marketing for Herda. So, what a better way to get off that than by talking about something that has nothing to do with Honkai Star Rail. Let's talk about Echo Point Nova. So, originally, I was gonna talk about Helldivers 2. However, this goblin demon alien thing friend of mine was like, hey, there's this game. This open world game. And he was like, here we are on this. It's got grapple hooks. And I was immediately sold. So that's how I got to Echo Point Nova first. So this is Helldivers. We're here talking about Echo Point Nova, which I'm just gonna abbreviate to EPN because I don't want to say Echo Point Nova every single time. I might not even stick to that. We're gonna see how that pans out. Anyways, Echo Point Nova is an advanced movement open world FPS where your main thing is go to location, start combat encounter, end combat encounter, get reward, repeat that for like however fucking many times until you complete the main story. Well, then you'll do that in the post game content, but that's neither here nor there. There's some co-op. We'll talk about the co-op eventually at some point during this, but so you got a couple things in EPN. You've got your weapons, you've got perks, you've got hats, you've got scans, you got your movement, you got a bunch of different, you got quite a handful of moving parts here. We're gonna go over all of these things, but we're not gonna talk about the whole game in its entirety. I won't be telling you like all the bosses and how it ends and all that stuff because I want you guys to really like experience it for yourself. Like I want you to like go on Steam and buy it and literally like see like holy shit, this is the coolest thing ever. Like why didn't I buy this game sooner? Because it's honestly just that good. It's really good. It's really good. So first let's talk about the weapons in this game, where I'm gonna put a little extra bit to that because oh my, there's one specific thing in this that I really gotta talk about. We'll start with the guns.
The type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand.
The guns in this game they're essentially like 5 or 6 categories. You have your pistols, shotguns, SMGs, ARs, snipers, and explosives. And they're all fairly, they're basic weapons. You know, there's nothing like super like out of this world wild. There's no like aimbot, super pistol, smart pistol type shit. It's just like, you know, your regular, like, you know, your 5.7s, your Scars, your Barretts, your RPGs, shit like that, you know? Nothing like super wild, but they've been incorporated into the game well enough that they feel great. And overall, or they have such a just, generally speaking, amazing handling. And the way that the weapons can work in this game is that there's leveling to them, but it's based on kills rather than the type of XP that you would see in other FPS games, like the recent Call of Duty games. By getting kills, you add I don't know if it's technically it's in-game, but like a not visual but existing like kill count to your weapon that will also act as your tracking to leveling. There are certain intervals for your weapons where once you reach a certain point, you'll gain a level up. Your first level is usually something fairly standard, not too huge, like maybe an extended mag or a suppressor, maybe something a little bit bigger than that, but usually it's a very simple upgrade for a level 1. Your level 2s are where it gets a little bit more outlandish. It's where not outlandish, but it's where it gets bigger. It's where it's more different. Not really. Sometimes it pertains to a specific weapon. Other times it's something that's just kind of like big, general buff. For certain weapons, like the Granddad, which is like a double barrel 1911, you get a full auto mode. For the pump shotgun, you get like a double shot before you have to repump it. For like explosive weapons, there's like an HE type shit. I might be wrong in that, but either way, generally speaking, the way it goes is you have standard upgrade, bigger upgrade, and then for your last level you get skins. That's about it for how the weapons like level. It's always just like perk skin. They never really divert from that. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's a pretty good like base to go on for all weapons in the game, rather than having like a shit ton of levels you have to go through, get some perks that you might not even really want to use because they just kind of get like shoehorned in as a way to kind of like have something per level, and instead you just have, here's 2 perks and some in the skin unlock, go wild. Which, speaking of the skins, the way that works is it's not like an individual unique skin for the gun itself. How it really works is that the game itself has this general like skin bar meter thing. Like, there's a bunch of skins for you to pick from. You can pick what skin to use for that specific weapon. So this way, like, let's say you have like one pistol that's at level 3 next to some sniper that's at level 3. You can give each one like its own skin to make it unique. And I think that's I think that's kind of cool. I think that's nice, rather than having like, hey, use this gun, get this one very specific skin that you might not even like. So here, have a bunch of skins you can select from to customize, to make your own gun unique. And that's pretty cool. I like it. But I can't really stop talking about weapons unless I talk about the most broken weapon in the game, the RPG. This is the most broken thing in the game for 2 reasons, technically 2.5, because the first one kind of leans into like the perk system. Let me elaborate. So, the RPG is, well, it's the rocket propelled grenade. It's, you know, the big ass fucking thing that you see in like Battlefield and Call of Duty and all that other shit, all the other FPS games in existence. Now, the way that this gets insanely broken is based off a perk, a level, and one extra mechanic that isn't really combat related, but is still insanely ridiculous. And I love it, but I hope it doesn't get nerfed, but it's still kind of ridiculous as hell. So let me explain. So, with the RPG, one of its levels is also a grenade launcher level. It is the HE round. And the way that the HE round is essentially a explosive radius increase and explosive damage increase. So it allows you to do significantly more damage per shot, even though you only have a max of 11 rockets. It allows you to do a fuck ton more damage in a much larger space. So that group of enemies can easily go down a lot faster with less effort. Now, where this gets a bit more broken, so not just one perk actually, but 2. There are 2 perks. There's Tony Glock, which pertains to going essentially a wall ride to regenerate ammo, which I can elaborate more on when I get to the perks. And another perk called Feed the Beast, which is essentially you shoot this ammo, you'll pick it up type of thing. Combine that with the RPG, you get a combat weapon that doesn't really run out of ammo, and is just insanely broken and almost kills everything in a single shot. There are some things that take 2 or 3, maybe 4, but at that point you won't run out of ammo. So, combatically speaking, I don't even think combatically is a word, but you get the point here. It's insanely broken, and it's really, really fucking funny. But that's not even the best thing about the RPG. The best thing about the RPG is, you know, let me get the way here so you can see it, is this. You can grapple hook the RPG. So the way that kind of works is the bullets in this game have a travel time, so they kind of take up a physical space in the world that you're in. So like bullets themselves, you can't really grapple because they move significantly faster. But the rocket moves at just the right speed. You can grapple it. You can literally ride that. By using all of your available rockets on hand, you can probably go across the entire map in one go with just like a few grapples and all the rockets ever. You can literally go across the entire map because it's just that insane. It's just that insane. I love it for that, and I also hate it for that because wow, why would I do this if I can just travel across the map with a rocket? All the love to that rocket launcher because it's insanely hilarious at what it can do, but also, god damn it, it can do so much. Rocket launcher aside, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next thing. And the next thing. I can't figure out what the next thing was, but I'll immediately say here in like 2 seconds. Okay, so it's the perks. Let's talk about the perks. The perks in this game are, well, they're perks. It doesn't get any more explanatory than that. They act as your buffs, like your permanent buffs, for a specific type of playstyle. There are a lot of perks in this game for you to do, like, kind of like build your character. You have different perks for like ARs, explosives, melee, movement. There's a lot of options for you to in making your own character type of shit. And you get a lot of options, but perks have their own unique cost factor. They can cost either fucking like they can either cost 1 perk point or they can cost 5 perk points. So you gotta really pick wisely here on like what kind of perks you're gonna bring with you into your combat, so that you don't end up picking like a perk that you might never really make use of. Like if you're someone who doesn't like really get up close and personal, you might not really use the ground pound perk where you create a shockwave that sends enemies up into the air. You might not do that, so you might not want to use that perk. Or you might not want to wall ride and regain ammo, so for some reason. So you might not want to use fucking Tony Glock. I don't know why you wouldn't. It's Tony Glock, but hey, I'm not you. Pick what you fucking want. I don't know, man. I don't know. Tony Glock, pro skater. Tony Glock, pro gunner. I won't. You won't get this ammo unless you hit the 360 no scope back shots. Fucking I don't know. You get the point. Now that being said, you don't get a whole lot of perk points at the very beginning. So how do you get perk points? How do you get more perk points? How do you really maximize your build? You gotta find hats. So let's talk about the hats. Hats in this game do 2 things. As I just said, they give you extra perk point slots, but they also just act as cosmetics. Now, there aren't just like, some standard ass hats like, the cowboy hat and all that, and like, construction hats. So yeah, you have there's a lot of hats in this game. A lot of them are also indie game references, like Trepang 2. You got the Syndicate hat from Trepang 2, the game that I talked about a couple days ago. Isn't that awesome? Trepang 2. Absolute cinema. Now, that being said, that's more or less the rundown for like the hats and perks, because they both kind of mesh together. You got to get more hats for more perk points, so you can use more perks. But to also tie into the perks is a separate progression system that I real quick want to go over, because it's not really that complicated. Or like your stamina orbs. These like green orbs that kind of like scattered across the map in like places, like different areas, in like random like highs and lows, and in buildings, inside like in terrain and shit. They can like mine into because you have a pickaxe. I forgot to say that, but you have a pickaxe. It's a pickaxe. But these stamina orbs act as more or less buffs to your movement. You have more jumps and you have more grapples. The more of these you get, the more jumps and the more grapples you get. You have up to 4 jumps and 4 grapples, and probably more beyond that, but I don't have all the orbs, so maybe I should look it up. But also, I'm kind of just wanting to give you what I immediately have in my knowledge deposit, rather than giving you a bunch of shit that, kind of exists that I don't even know about, because I would like to be pleasantly surprised still as well from what I have left, even though it sounds really, really stupid. But hear me out. Hear me out on that. All right, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. But that's more your 2 progression systems in this game. You got perk points, and you got stamina orbs. Both do separate things that combine together here. Now, you get all this stuff for the combat, so of course, let's talk about the combat. The combat in this game isn't really. There are some like map encounters, like you'll sometimes just find guys on the map, but that's not really the main way that you fight people in this game. It comes from this thing called scans. How do scans work? Well, on the map, you're gonna find these like little weird box things. They're gonna hold items for you, like a weapon or a hat or something. They're gonna have something for you. You're gonna find these boxes, and when you walk up to them, you get this big ass like screen thing. It's gonna pop up like womp. I'm just gonna tell you, like, here's a combat encounter. Here's how many enemies they have, and in some cases, here's a modifier that they might have. And you're gonna start that combat encounter. You're gonna kill the required amount of guys. Kill 30 enemies. Kill 40 enemies. Kill however many enemies you gotta take to complete the combat encounter. You complete it, and then you get your reward from the box, whether a gun or a hat or something. There's always a reward to come from the combat scans, which is a nice reward, of course, because you don't want to do something. You don't want to like go through this grueling fight in a scan and not get something out of it. Like it'd be a complete waste of time if you went through like this like painful scan that you have died like 10 times to, only get nothing at all. Like, it'd be really stupid. Like, why would you even want to do it at that point? Wouldn't make sense to me. Wouldn't make sense to you. So why do that? So the scans not only act as your main combat encounter, but also acts as the way to progress the game's story. Now, the story is really just take down this really big bad guy, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes simplicity is nice. You don't gotta have this like major overarching complex story where there's some eldritch being beyond human comprehension who's out there in the stars looking to take over, completely wipe out the entire galaxy or universe, whatever the fuck. Sometimes it's nice to just be like, hey, this guy's bad. Go get him. Go beat his ass. Kill him. Ooh, kill him. And it's a nice change of pace from all this other shit that well, it's not really bad. It's not bad. It's like bad shit, but it's more like simplicity works. There's nothing wrong with it. So there's nothing wrong with just, hey, go fight this guy. That's not really that nice. He's a bad man. Go beat him. Beat his ass. It's always nice to have that every now and then. Anyways, so let's go ahead and go for the other thing, which is this game's movement. And I'm really excited to talk about the movement. Let's talk about it. So, movement is tied to 3 things. You got your jumps, your grapples, and my favorite part, the hoverboard. Now, your jumping is fairly simple. It's just a jump. More than, as I said before, with the stamina orb stuff, the more of those orbs you get, the more jumps you can have. Same for the grapple. You can grapple onto objects like the rocket, or just a physical object on the ground, like the ground or the fucking clouds. If you really wanted to grapple the clouds, go for it. Now, with that in mind, what's like the main movement mechanic in this game, the thing that they all kind of ties together, the way that you will mainly be getting around, not just in the world but in combat, the hoverboard. It's a really cool feature. So the hoverboard is like of course, as I just said, it's your main source of movement. It's your fastest way of getting around without rocket grappling. By holding shift, you will spawn a hoverboard at your feet. So you have a few things you can do with the hoverboard. The first thing is that you can go significantly faster on the hoverboard than you would be able to on foot. The other thing is wall grinding, where by being on your hoverboard and coming into contact with a wall, you can instead grind on that wall like as if you were wall running. But instead of wall running, you're grinding against fucking Tony Glock. And the other thing you can do with the hoverboard, which is kind of funny, is you can ram into your enemies with the hoverboard and send them flying. And in some cases, it's really useful because you can just knock them off the ground entirely into the abyss of the sky below. And that can be really useful in combat encounters, especially if you don't really have like a whole lot of ammo left, where instead of wasting a shot on this guy who might be at full health, you can just ram into him and knock him off. And not even have to worry about spending ammo on him entirely. Which is a really cool and really funny feature. Really like that. Hopefully we get some more stuff with hoverboard in possible future updates. But hoverboard, rather than acting as a separate piece of movement options, it's more like an extension of you. It doesn't change how you operate, but it instead adds to how you operate. So like, instead of you can do this but not this, instead you can do this and this. So how you would, so like on foot, you weren't using your hoverboard. You could rocket jump, but you wouldn't be able to really get around. But with the hoverboard, you can rocket jump and move around a lot more effectively, which brings the fact that there's also the Market Gardener perk, which is pretty cool. All around, the hoverboard is a great option and is probably the best thing that got added to this entire game. I mean, it's not as if it wasn't in the game to begin with, but the hoverboard was a very great option to put into this game. It was a wonderful dev choice that really, really elevates the experience on being open world games on crack. It's really cool. So, what we'll go over up to for you guys is the first boss. When you fight through a whole bunch of scans and stuff, and you get out some artifacts, you fight your first boss, who's like a giant, like, kind of like metallic worm in a desert, where the way that you beat that boss is by destroying these like red cores. The way you beat the boss is by destroying some like red cores that act as like its health. But for each core you destroy, a part of it like disintegrates, giving it less enemies to spawn on, but giving you less places to be. Like, there's a lot of enemies on these bosses. Like, these aren't just like tiny like bosses that have like no minions on them. These are like structures that they're defending, that you're raiding. And I think it's actually a pretty cool boss choice. I think that's a really great way to kind of well, I don't know how to describe it really, but like it's a cool way to like do a boss rather than here's this really big guy that you gotta go fight. Is go raid this giant ass thing and destroy it that they're trying to defend. I don't know how many games have really done that. Like, it's a pretty cool thing to do. It's pretty cool. Me likes. That doesn't make any sense, but hey, it works. It's cool. I fuck with it. I fuck with you heavy. I'm so brain rotted, man. Jesus Christ. That's about it, really. Like, actually, for real this time. I'm not gonna talk about like all the other bosses or the locations in this game because like I said at the beginning, I want you to buy this game for yourself, experience all the really hype shit that comes with it, rather than me telling you the hype shit. I want you to get as excited as I did, and my friends did, when we played it. Which makes me remember, was real quick, for like 2 seconds, talk about the co-op, because I played like the launch co-op and that was something alright. So the co-op in this game is, well, it's just that it's a co-op. It's co-op. You play the main game with your friends. Now I played the 1.0 version, which was honestly it was really buggy. There's a lot of desync issues. Like our objective would be to go collect an artifact, and when one person got the artifact, everybody else still needs to get it. And the main part of the biggest case of desync was in the end game, where one person could go and access it, but the rest of us couldn't. So we had to like leave the lobby, go into our single player, and then actually manually start the end game. And then there's like a whole like, you know, we finishing the game like we were just like hard broke, like we couldn't even use our weapons after that. But I think they got fixed, you know, in like a patch after that. So it is what it is. It was a kind of stinky bug, but it wasn't really a deal breaker. Now, that being said, this game is kind of, there are a few problems besides the co-op, and but the main problem I want to go over is just that when you finish the game, there is not really a whole lot to do. Like, sure, you can collect all the remaining stamina orbs and the hats, but the only thing you really get for post-game is some bonus scans. There's no new locations. There's not a whole lot to do after you finish the game, besides go do these things again. So I'm hoping that for like post-game stuff, we get like some like new areas to explore. Because that'd be pretty cool for like, hey, you finished the game, here's some new places that are significantly harder than the base game places. But other than that, that's about all I got. Go buy Echo Point Nova. Pretty cool game. Not super pricey either. It's got workshop support as well. That's always nice to see. No one, I ain't complain about no workshop support. I love the Steam Workshop. But yeah, like I said, that's it. I ain't even gonna say what the next video is. I've learned my lesson from the 2 videos in a row where I said, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then do something else entirely different. So whatever you guys get next is what you get next. I won't even try to hint at what it could be, because not even I know what it's gonna be anymore. I'm always like hopping, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing. It's like I'm doing this other thing instead. So I'm not even gonna say what it is because I don't know what it is either. Hopefully this is out in November. If not, this is gonna be really, really embarrassing. Well, not really, because I've been doing it like every 2 months. But the goal has been to get this one out, to get some out once a month. But it is what it is. I got nothing else. Just buy a Point Nova, get some friends also, play a co-op. The co-op's pretty cool. And always remember to rocket glide. Take care, lads.